Good morning, guys. A good, great morning to all of those who tuned into the realest thing coming out of Guyana. This morning, I started my day on a high note and good point, but nonetheless, today, worrying circumstances in this country, very worrying circumstances. I wanted a reward of $10 million was put up for death row inmate Smallie, who escaped from the Mazaruni prison yesterday. We will look at the beginning and the end of this, how it began, the history of this wanted man, to get a better understanding of where we are. The question is, the big question in trying to understand is just one question. Who benefits from a mass murderer escaping? So if you're a mass murderer and if you're on death row, if you're 10 years, if you got 10 years in prison and you get away, you get 2 years for escaping. So let's say you've been doing 5 years of your 10 years, and when you come back, you got to do the other 5 years and 2 years. That's 7 years. When you're on death row, your life is basically done. You'll never have a life again. You're dead to society. So if you're released, there's only one thing. Either you die in prison or you die, if discovered, a fast death on the road. So one asks oneself now, who plans and plot to get somebody out of prison who is dead anyway? That's the question. So if that's the question, one asks oneself now, who is the death row inmate? How you get a death sentence? How do you become to get a death sentence? Well, most death sentences are as a result of murder or a treasonous act. Most death sentences, murder or a treasonous act. In Guyana, we're looking at the world. So I'll go through first thing, the fact that a reward has been issued or offered. My thing is $10 million. You gotta reposition me there, boy. It defeats the purpose. Put me down with the numbers there down there. So, reward, $10 million reward offered is being offered for information leading to the recapture of convicted killer Mark Ryden Williams, called Smallie. Now, how would this individual be able to escape for a second time? Well, it's the same way the army misplaced 40-odd AK-47 high-power rifles that ended up in the hands of criminals. So, Smallie, and again, one of the things to note is the difference in Smallie appearance in the bigger photo with the white jersey, the white top. If you notice, one time he's a Rastafarian, one time he's a fine-faced guy. Most of the news entities, if you go across and look at the news entity, they didn't give his present description. They didn't show his present description, like they ain't interested in him being caught. One has to ask if there's a concerted effort to assist him in escaping. Hello.
Critic,
Yes, good morning.
$10 million is dead or alive? What I know.
Now again, to suggest dead, there's no suggestion dead, no issuance of dead or alive. And again, it clearly reads, offered for information in the recapture. So you ain't necessarily gotta go and capture he. If you peep through a keyhole and you see he, you could call the police, you could call those numbers up there, 225-6940, 225-8196, 225, shut your fuck up and listen. That's why he's saying.
Yeah.
225-2317, 227-1149. You could call those numbers. Don't go. Because y'all can't go for represent thief man in your area. Y'all is shit in y'all pants. So don't go and get yourself injured. This is a man who just get away from prison people. This is a man who murdered 12 people at Bartica. This is a man who murdered a soldier man. This is a man who been on death row. Don't play and gaff this thing. You could get a 10 million, but dip on your heights.
Goodbye.
Roger. You understand? Yeah, long as this is serious business. This is serious business. Yeah, long as smart. Yeah, I met you. It ain't no joke. A man who killed, massacred people at Bartica. The criminal that played an integral role in unleashing fear in this nation with the help of politicians. One has to ask oneself, have all friendships been rekindled? What is the intent? In a past time, with the intention of attaining power at all costs, politicians affiliated with criminals and brought on the dark days in Guyana, murdering people ruthlessly. Luziknan, Bartica, take this seriously. This is not normal. There's nothing funny about this. This is the real shit. Leon Radio Flavor, Francis, just Google. Just Google. This isn't a gay play game and a gaff thing. Google. You will see the integral role politicians played when men who escaped from prison on Matrimony Day died. Blackie London, when he died, he was given a state-like funeral by PNC-affiliated politicians at the Coffee Square. That is a matter of fact. His coffin, a criminal who raped and murdered Guyanese. His coffin was draped with a Guyanese flag, with a flag of Guyana in the presence of none other than PNC politicians. This is a matter of fact. When criminals were killed and were buried at Buxton at the church, PNC politicians were there. And you know how we take seriously to the last respects of people we are affiliated with, how Guyanese look at the dead. Yeah, Junior.
Yeah, morning, mate.
Call the office and get them things started out.
Oh, okay.
Safe.
Good, fine.
Now, this is not Gav's story. This is not me assuming. This is not me wanting Google. A simple Google search will help you in understanding land of 6 people. Blackie buried amid chaos. Blackie is this how we treat our national heroes? What the president said was that London Blackie casket was draped with a national flag. Just Google it. Just Google it. It's not me saying the troubles, how many were killed, just how many were killed, right? Or photo gallery. There's a photo, no. There's a different thing. Right? You just Google it. Stabrook News have stories. Kaichor News have stories. This is not a make-up, tack-up thing. Let's see what they have in terms of images for Blackie, London funeral. Outstanding. Winston Moore. Let's see what we could find in terms of this. What is this? YouTube?
Never forget.
This doesn't look like Guyana.
Ready now?
Let's sing. On the margin of the river. Gather with the saints and the reed. For the life of Veronica, we ask now that her offspring and the family members will have hope in your coming. That hope will bring from these graves loved ones who now sleep in Christ. Cover all the children and all the family members.
I don't think. No possible way. But these people wreaked havoc on this country. Now, comes back to the question. No. This is not blame the PNC. This is questions. Who could benefit from... Now, first thing is, let me show you the Mazaruni prison. Right? So all the years the media has played a role in how information is disseminated. And I want you to look at this. So if you go to some media pages, you'll find these photos of Smallie, who escaped yesterday. And look at those photos, the difference in transformation. And look at this. This is what he looks like now. One of the reasons for this photo not being widely circulated is the time it takes for information to come out. So not fully to blame. A lot of people went for photos that they had. But if you're looking for a wanted criminal that looks like this now, but everybody feel he looks like this, or this, or this, there's the news out there. If everybody feels he looks like this, this, and this, but he actually looks like this, what do you think will happen? What do you think is going to happen? Now, why I'm showing you this here, I don't show you all together. Try to imagine closing your eyes. Try to imagine looking at this guy on the street, and this is what you think he looks like. Simple. Look at it. He looks like this now. So imagine he just shave his beard now. Clean out his face. How you finding he? When you're looking for this, or this, or this guy here. But the Guyana Police Force Press Group didn't have this right away because this is a photo, a recent photo. And if you see, notice he get fairer because when on death row, you don't get much sunlight. You're locked down for at least 23 hours in a day. Now, somebody went to the prison and this is the Mazaruni prison in the Essequibo River. So somebody went to the location. This is the Mazaruni prison. So you'd be seeing this here, this outline is different parts of the prison. Right away across, all that you're seeing here is the Mazaruni prison. Let me get the photos for you. So this is what the prison looks like. So this area would be somewhere across here. And if you see a little boat there, would be somewhere across here, around this area, that because I'm going to give you a Google map description of the Mazaruni prison also. Because people believe Mazaruni prison is an island. Let me give you a look at the Google so you get an understanding. First, you got to understand what you're looking at. What risks had to be taken to get this man off of this facility? So this is what you're looking at from above. This here is the water area. If you go in a little closer, you'll see there are a number of buildings there. And this here is the area. So you'd have been walking this area to go from one side of the building area to another area. He'd be moving on the waterfront area here. So this is what you're looking at. This is the area that he would have escaped from. And then would have had to leave on the boat. And again, this is just before Bartica. He'd have had to left on the boat and head up in this direction. And between here, there are rivers. There's the Guyanese River. Just off the edge, here's the Mazaruni River. Right? So this is what you're looking at from above. You see the landmass? It's not an island. Mazaruni prison is not an island. All behind here is jungle. The Mazaruni prison sits here, right there. This right across here is Bartica. This is Bartica. This is Bartica here. So the Mazaruni prison sits in an angle just in. Just you pass Bartica. So the Bartica is here. They would have left this location and headed upriver. Now we go to what it looks like on the ground, what the prison looks like. So Smallie would have been taken from one of these buildings to another building. Look at the distance from the water areas to the building, to the buildings. Now this is supposed to be a maximum security facility. This man is a wanted criminal that just a few years ago murdered people, 12 people, just across that river at Bartica. One has to ask oneself, what is the purpose? Is it a hot love affair that the Spanish woman that went to see him loves him so much that want to get him out from death row and have to run for the rest of her life with him? Is it a love affair? And again, things like this happened before. This is just about before our independence. Things like this have happened before. On a Mashramani day, there was a prison break at Camp Street that led to unrest in this country for years. So one has to ask oneself, what is going on here? If you can't rely on the experiences that you've had in the past, you could look at the political atmosphere in this country and realize a cross-section of society or a part of the political landscape has died and has no other option. No options. Can we look at that? Can we be serious no matter who we are and be honest? Now, if y'all know, you could say in the comments, who has the resources? If you get a man that is on death row out of prison, there's nothing else he can do. He can't do anything. This man wasn't a major drug dealer. He was just a murderer that was touted as a freedom fighter by politicians. He was a murderer of his day. One has to ask oneself, what benefit would he have to anybody? And at this level, you got to coordinate a woman to go who is now in custody to meet him. How did he meet a Spanish woman? How did she become his woman? What is the connection between him and a woman? Does his mom or sister go to see him? What is the relationship with this Spanish woman? So there are two things that has to be looked at. It is said that the persons who approached in the boat, show the picture, the location, in the boat, somewhere around here, were Spanish-speaking persons with heavy artillery, machine guns. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Critic.
Yes, my brother.
Yes, I was wondering why the government or the police force they didn't offer any money for information on the capture of this prisoner, you know. I mean,
they didn't offer. Well, unfortunately, you might not have received the information. There's a $10 million reward, and it just came out about 45 minutes ago. So you might not have been privy to that information.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Because I just tuned into your show, you know, and I didn't hear anything about it.
There's a $10 million reward. Let me put that up again. $10 million reward. Yeah,
any civilian, anybody, you know, have any information should get a reward, you know.
Yeah. Well, let me be honest with you. I'm looking at the reward thing, and I'm thinking in my head, bullshit. Right? Here why. You got Banner driving around $24 million, $100 million vehicle in this country. Right? You got Banner $10 million can't buy a proper house.
Right.
Right? So when I'm looking at $10 million, I'm asking myself, what really entices people? What really got people going and really looking? The reward is up there. Have a look at it. $10 million reward. No, $10 million is a lot of money for some, right? But putting things into context, how do you get a whole nation hungry? Looking under the bed, under every plant, under every toilet, behind every
Right.
tree.
You gotta boost it up. Guys.
You gotta boost it up. You understand? Because
Right.
$10 million, I'm telling you, for a man
Nothing.
who has wreaked havoc in this country, who obviously is
And
going
that
to
was
bring
all right.
much unrest to the people of this country. You understand?
Not only does that, they got so many businessmen out there today that already have to be scared of the business and what's not. They should come forward and say, well, okay, we got some money to put up, you know. We need to get this
My
man out
brother-
as soon as possible.
My brother, $10 million can't build a street. You hear what I'm telling
Who
you?
was saying the businessmen them?
No, but here
Come
now.
forward and put up some more donation
The
towards
government
the
who is
recapture, you know.
responsible for all this thing, all this, you know how much money they spend on the prison? You have to hear.
Right.
You got to talk to the Minister of Home Affairs and find out how much $1 billion they're spending on prison while people escape. And when they do escape after spending billions of taxpayers' dollars, they want to give people pittances of $10 million to risk their life. To tell people
Well,
where
what I'm
people
saying
are.
is, yeah, I got a point they're saying. It's
No, but
not
again, you get
or whatever, guys,
you
I-
get your 10 million, you get a reward. You was asking for, you get a reward. I'm giving my take on that reward that adds up to pittance. You understand?
Right, so-
Because this is not a street. They got streets that are being built. Let me put it this way for you. There's no street, no corner in Guyana that could be built at the cost of $10 million. I don't know who come up with this ill-conceived, stupid $10 million, but it didn't make no sense. Because you can't spend billions. We're putting things into context. You can't spend billions of dollars to build over prisons, and then when those billions fail, you spend $10 million for remedy the problem. It didn't make sense.
That makes no sense, right? Things do happen, but what I'm saying, right, it's a simple explanation. As you're saying, the $10 million is nothing, right? It's just that I didn't see the reward was up and heard you say anything, so I was just...
No, that's the first thing I
You know
started
that,
with.
yeah.
I started with the reward.
So I just tuned in on you there, yeah.
Roger, brother.
All right, you take care and enjoy the rest of the day, man.
You too, brother. How much are you willing to spend? How much are you willing to spend as a nation for peace? This is an ill-conceived, stupid reward. You hear what I'm telling you? You got miners. You got business people that this chicken feed for them. Who, partner? When you got a nation that one set of people try to divide it, one set of people try to bring it together, you look at it. You and me sit down here. Which police you going and tell? About this story? Forget the $10 million. Who risking the life? Is your life you're risking for $10 million? You know who involved in this thing? You know how much people involved in this thing? You trying to tell me Smallie was able to get away? What he spent $100,000 for getaway? $500,000 he spent for getaway? Woman come for see man with boat and engine while he there on death row. Men come with heavy artillery and shoot he out of the place. You trying to tell me people go, hey, river top operation, big shootout, long planning. You try to tell me $10 million do the job? More money went into Smallie escape than the money they plan to put out for he capture. You know how long this thing planning? You don't just wake up and say, all right, we do it. You got plan, you got movements. You got time, you got involve people. Everybody at every level have to be involved. Right across from here, 5 minutes drive by boat. You got the Bartica Police Headquarters. Anytime, anywhere, people could be moving. You got a set of security people moving all about with gun and all them thing though. Everybody and nobody you know. You trying to tell me, yeah, understand this thing ain't making sense? Again, billions of dollars have been spent on prisons and this specific prison. Hold on. Google again, y'all. Don't forget to use Google. Just type in Mazaruni prison. Mazaruni prison. When is this? 2023, here. $75 million. Surely, this is a Kaicho News article. $75 million awarded to rehabilitate Mazaruni prison admin building. So they fixed the admin building. People are going to walk around and talk around. And that's just the admin building. This whole building here. Right? Let's see. 3 contractors submits bid to rehabilitate. This is 2022. Another Kaicho News article. So this is the same contract, but the bidding process. Mazaruni prison. Investigative report on construction. DPI. Phase 1 of prison expansion. (2021) bid submitted for Mazaruni prison. Starbrook News. Y'all don't frighten for use Google. Name of the contractors. The highest bid was 74 million. Right? Bid submitted for Mazaruni prison construction. This 2021. It's bare millions you're hearing about. Right? Don't frighten for Google. So let me go through. Again, this is what the waterfront will look like. This is what Smallie would have been seeing as he left the prison. In a boat with his armed friends, he would have been seeing the prison off. He would have been passing by. That is what he would have been seeing yesterday. Right? That is the Mazaruni prison as he passed by, as he took off from the prison and looked back and said bye-bye. Now I'm going to do some detailed investigation. And I'll give you a detailed story. There's a lot of history here where this thing started and where it came from. This man escaped from prison before. This man, when he was first arrested, was found in the company of people who had in their possession documents belonging to Saturday Saw, a former Minister of Agriculture who was murdered with other family members at his LBI home. All in the good name of freedom fighting. So one has to put the whole story together. And the question I'm asking you is, who have benefits? Is Smallie a major player in anything? Is he a drug kingpin? No, he's not a drug kingpin. What would motivate Spanish-speaking, supposedly Venezuelans, to want to break him out of prison? Again, he could only serve one purpose. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Critic and viewers. Just calling to give just my side of what I think is kind of going on. And I understand because I've been listening to you for a while in relation to the reward and everything that is being handed out for the criminal that escaped. Now, I mean, my general belief is that that person is no longer in Guyana. Now, before Smallie came into Guyana and killed 12 people, what was he connected to? Where was he connected? Is that something that he was doing in the regular? Was he tied to this Venezuelan gang? Was he tied to Colombian gang?
No,
was
sir.
he tied to an organization
There's
out in Guyana?
no evidence of such. Bear in mind, Smallie would have gone through a lengthy court process that would have showed connections, and he murdered. Actually, he was one of the persons that murdered 12 persons on the at Bartica.
Yeah.
And he was also convicted for killing a soldier. So no affiliation at that time. So one has to ask, how do you get that connection after? And there was also a prison escape before, which Venezuelans played no role in. Spanish speakers played no role in. So this is a recent connection. Now, if one wants to distance oneself, you hire people to do the job.
Of not a nationality.
That it can't come back to you. And there's no shortage of people in Venezuela to do such a job. You got criminal gangs in Venezuela that are serious about their business and what they do. That is their business. But at what cost? Who has the kind of money? Who has the kind of connection and resources to have people turn a blind eye, to reach out to people, to coordinate people, to release a man out of prison that has no purpose other than unleashing mayhem, a thing that he did before. So,
all right. So that's noted. Go ahead.
No, you give your take.
Yeah, I mean, I understand all of that, but one of the things that I kind of dislike, I'm Guyanese by birth. Unfortunately, I'm not even going to mention where I'm at, because that doesn't really matter. But I try to keep my head in what's going on in Guyana, because I love my country and I love my people. But the thing that bothered me the most is that we get up and we fight one another every day. But yet when we come abroad, we find a way to live with one another, or we live in their system comfortably, and whatever the case is. And everything that happened, it seemed like it's related to politics. PNC talking about the PPP, PPP talking about the PPPC. The PPPC is doing a great job right now. We don't care about what the PNC did. We just want the PPP to focus on what they're doing right now. They building Guyana. They're the future. They people that's taking Guyana forward. We need to stop being up here commenting on these things that doesn't have any value anymore. These older folks need to understand that Guyana is going in a different direction. Different people is managing Guyana. It might be the same party, but there's a younger people, different thinking. Obviously some older folks had to have some involvement in what's going on when it comes to development. But we had to forget about these things that happen and focus on the future. That's the only way we're going to make it past this gap. Now, if Smallie's back out to to commit whatever crime, whoever bring him back out to do whatever, may God be with them. But that's not the direction Guyana should be going, especially where we're coming from. And where we going. You see what I'm saying, right?
My opinions might differ, but I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. I mean, they saying this about Mr. Ali. They saying this. I do not like. I'm African American, and you might assume that okay, well, I'm a Democrat. No, I'm a Republican. Or if I'm Guyana, well, I might be he a PPP because he's black. No, you're not supposed to be looking at what nationality one is. You're supposed to be looking at who is doing for who. Look at where you are, where you're going. Like some powers or some president might, be in power, period, but they don't do nothing for the people. But it seems like Guyana is going good. Things are getting better. We're coming from a place that we always been trifling, and a lot of the people that once couldn't deal with it run away from Guyana because of those things. Now people can stay. This person can make a money here. That person can make a money there. There's a whole lot that's coming. But if we can't deal with it the right way, then it means we're gonna have all these resources and be ignorant about how to develop ourselves and the nation.
If I may,
you gotta clean up walls every couple of months. You gotta clean up the sea walls. Like why? Guyanese is dirtying it up.
If I may, brother. So the point you have made is the gospel truth. It is the solution and at the same time the problem. Let me expound there. So as a result of a black man such as yourself seeing the progress that is going on in this country and hoping that it will stay in that direction no matter what, there are individuals who are looking at that same progress that you are appreciative of and realizing that they will become insignificant and obsolete if that progress continues. So, unlike how it should be, we should all be happy for the development of our country. Even in our personal lives, with our families, forget about the politics, let's get personal.
Yeah.
Is there anybody in your life that you know was not comfortable at some point in time when you have been progressing? I'm talking about family members.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Let me tell you something.
Absolutely.
I have had that, and I'm going to state it clear here now, with someone who did not know they were affecting me negatively, and they were not doing it intentionally. My mother. So on to today, my mother is told of my successes by people who tell her, you know what your son does do? You know who is your son? If I were to tell my mother that this is what I am going to do, my mother unknowingly will attempt to bring me down. You understand? So there's some acts that are deliberate, and there's some acts that are carried out incidentally. Right? So I do not in any way, shape, or form discuss anything as it relates to progress with my mother. Because the first thing is in an attempt to protect me, and as a result of giving into her fear, she would say, I don't think there's a good idea. What you are going to do? What problem you're going to make? No. My mother at her age still has not come to the realization that I have been this kid who has been rebellion because she's my mother all of my life. That is why she had to beat me when I was a kid. Because I did not take no. I did not care about my oppressors. I decided what I wanted to do and head in that direction. What has happened? My mother has never learned. So from time to time, she would call and say, what's going on with you? I heard this about you. You have to be careful. You understand? But it comes from her care and fear. Right? So, whether intentional, accidental, or otherwise, you have to be careful as you progress. Next case in point. A man up on Facebook posting up all kind of thing but me. Critic this, critic that. Right? And I get that a lot because on a daily basis, I offend a lot of people. You want to know what is an offense? By me towards Guyanese people and sometimes fans. You want to know what is considered to be an offense? So there's this guy and he posting up all kind of things. I call him yesterday, I say, you're okay, alright, and because I said like this banner getting old and tripping. You say, I gotta remember where you come from and all kind of thing. So I said, man, what's your problem? I can no longer go and sit down and gaff it. I don't have the time for that. I try my best. The man said, oh, when I see you by the outreach in Barbies, you and the big boys them, you walk past me. Now, this is a man that he sit down and bear in mind, man. I watching he. I see a post, I put back a post and say, when we used to then struggle fighting at City Hall, because he sit down at the table listening with the parking meters issue, right? So I posted this picture with me, this man, from a Facebook post I had, not knowing that I offended him by not seeing him, not noticing him. I did not see him. You understand? Where he telling me yesterday, oh, you there with the big boys them, you in. I was like, partner. It doesn't take anything. And here what happens. People don't know. Unless it is something that you would have affected somebody in a negative way, when they see back people and you doing better than them, you just want to talk to them. For they know you're doing well. It's a human thing.
Absolutely.
So when you pass a man, when you see me and talk to somebody that I know, that they wouldn't play no role in my life or me want nothing to do with them. It would have to be intentional or accidental. The two extremes of it. All of that to say, while we would assume or want to see this country move forward, there are things that are happening that never happened before that will offend people. The main fact that we're having this conversation here and you could come and talk and say, I want to see progress by the PPP for the people, although I am a black man in America, not a PPP. You see something that you're willing to talk, but you say, here, I want the bullshit stop. I don't want to hear about PPP and PPP. I want to hear about progress. Partner, that what you have done there have offended people. That is why one has to ask who would benefit. Because persons cannot come themselves and bring down and prove anything. Unrest in a country, confusion in a country can change the dynamics. You understand?
I got you.
Ask yourself when a politician is sitting across the table and he's looking at the progress and look at the progress to date and ask yourself what will happen in 5 years, whether it is a trick, whether it is genuine. Every Guyanese, most Guyanese will be bought out as a result of a street being done, as a result of the flooding stopping in Georgetown, as a result of the support that they will get, as a result of the mechanism. You hear what I'm saying? Either they
Got you.
will
I got you.
be
I'm on it.
bought
I'm
out.
on it.
How do you
I'm on it.
stop that? Who is affected by that? Those are the questions that have to be asked. You understand?
Absolutely.
A
Absolutely.
dangerous game is afoot here. And there was never nobody. Because the ideal thing to do, and one of the easiest things to do, is bring a man out of prison who has nothing to lose. You understand? Because
I got you.
he can't go on to live anywhere else. He has no special skill set other than murdering people brutally. That happened in on a Mashramani day, I think 2002. When
I saw it. I was a boy. I was a boy when that happened. It was gruesome.
Them banner went on to wreak havoc because they're boxed in. And the promise is, if things change in a country, things will be different for you. You have no life. You have one opportunity to try or die trying, and it's only if it's change at the top you might get the possibility of being pardoned. You understand? So imagine you telling somebody here, you ain't got no life, but you got one chance. I ain't saying you ain't got no chances. You got a chance, but you don't have a life. Your life done. You depend on death row. This is what has to be done. Because one has to ask oneself, how was this orchestrated? How it was collaborated? This is a man who murdered Guyanese, is on death row, escaped before with assistance again. You understand? And has escaped again. Elaborate efforts and planning. How is that done? Who could win from this? What are the capabilities? And the fact remains, we've been through this before. That is why the security forces is on such high alert. Fortunately for us, the heads of the armed forces, the head of the Guyana Police Force, Clifton Hickins, the Commissioner of Police, is versed with this, is versed with these operations. He used to be in Buxton on the ground. He knows. The head of the army now used to be the man, the head of intelligence, who has a very good understanding of the inner workings. Because the army and the police in the past, police commissioners and army heads played an integral role in assisting or turning a blind eye to criminals in the past. So what we have going for us is different dynamics. That is why. That is why normally in the past when you got prison break, everybody running and ducking for cover. You understand? I was called and told to be on high alert. That is why today the president could, although there's a grave situation at hand as a result of this prison break, the president could have gone about his normal business this morning because their fingers are on the button. And the response, if anything goes awry, will be swift. And justice will be served. Guyanese have the experience. There will be no excuse. There were excuses that they were freedom fighters in the past. But there are no excuses now. And many more Guyanese are resistant.
I got you. Critic, I want to thank you for that explanation, not just to me, because I feel the explanation that you give will definitely assist with some of these people that are listening right now from the outside. You know, and one more thing I want to state before I pull off, because I know you're a busy man and people are tend to do as well too. We need each other. Regardless if you're abroad or you in Guyana. We need each other. You could try and twist it and turn it or whatever the matter is. If you live in Guyana, we all need each other. had to say. You could try and do whatever you want to do. It's not going to work unless we do it all together. We need each other. But Critic, thanks again. I thank you for the explanation because, like I said, some of these comments are very bothering. But the explanation that you just give, maybe some people put it in their pipe and smoke it because there's a lot of ignorant people up here and they saying things that doesn't really make sense. But thank you again.
You're welcome, my brother. And on that note, I will say no more to water down what you have said in us needing each other. I'll call a day to this program. I want to thank you for your input, brother.
You're welcome, Critic. You do have a blessed rest of your day.
Cool, man. You take care, guys. Be on the lookout.